You've been pretty selfish at this point your whole entire career. What have you done for a lot of fighters? This would be a powerful statement for you to join. So stop it. Stop running. Stop hiding. Stop being selfish. We need all the help we can get in making this union. Conor McGregor, that's the message.
The ongoing saga of social media stars trying to cash in on the sport of boxing. Jake Paul, the self-proclaimed undisputed king of cringe and master of self-promotion, has once again thrust the sport into the spotlight with his latest bombshell, challenging Conor McGregor to a fight. It's hard to take this latest stunt seriously, especially considering Paul's background as a YouTube star turned boxer with little to no experience in the ring compared to McGregor, a seasoned UFC champion. Jake Paul's brash, attention-grabbing tactics have drawn criticism from both boxing purists and casual fans alike, with many arguing that he's undermining the integrity of the sport. What was once seen as a prestigious discipline is now a playground for online personalities looking to make a quick buck and gain followers, leaving a stain on the reputation of professional boxing. Jake Paul may believe he's about to make history, but what he's actually doing is dragging the already fractured credibility of boxing through the mud. The fight with McGregor, if it even happens, would likely be nothing more than another flashy spectacle, contributing to the rise of the carnival act that boxing seems to have become in the age of influencer culture.
Conor, you're saying the interest is low for the fight.
The interest is low and I don't know. They don't understand.
Let's take a moment to truly appreciate the absurdity of this matchup. On one side, we have Jake Paul, the man whose boxing career exists solely because people enjoy watching him make a spectacle of himself. His rise in the sport is less about talent or dedication and more about his ability to attract attention through controversy and self-promotion.
Ducking of professional boxers. The next fight could potentially be a professional boxer. I'm just getting started. I'm 26 years old and there's only so much I can do.
Yeah, professional boxer, right? Let's not forget this is the same guy who built an 11-1 record by knocking out a string of retired MMA fighters. Somehow, he's convinced himself, and disturbingly, a portion of the public, that he's a legitimate athlete. And let's not overlook his crowning achievement of beating Anderson Silva, a legend in the sport, when Silva was practically eligible for AARP membership. Oh, and there's his recent triumph over a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, who probably spent more time promoting his cannabis brand than actually training for the fight. Truly impressive, Jake. Groundbreaking stuff.
In terms of like face-off views, this is, in my mind, the biggest fight the world will ever see.
They know that it's just like hard to handle for them because they've been like in a...
Now enter Conor McGregor, once a UFC trailblazer, now more of a walking whiskey ad than a fighter. Sure, McGregor was a two-division champ in the UFC a lifetime ago, but his career has been on life support since 2017 when Floyd Mayweather toyed with him in the boxing ring for 10 rounds before ending the charade. Since then, Conor's fighting career has been about as consistent as Jake Paul's humility, non-existent. Between promoting Proper 12 and posting thirst traps on Instagram, the man's been more committed to selling booze than throwing punches. His last notable moment in combat sports, breaking his leg in 2021. And now, he's supposed to waltz into a boxing ring and trade punches with the walking internet troll himself. Let's be real, this fight is nothing more than a money grab of epic proportions. The media's calling it the fight of the century, but what they really mean is the cash grab of the century. Reports say this dumpster fire could rake in a cool $250 million. That's right, $250 million for a YouTuber and a semi-retired MMA star to play pretend for a few rounds. Forget skill, forget legacy, forget actual competition. This is all about who can stir up the most drama and sell the most pay-per-views. Boxing's new motto might as well be, why fight for glory when you can fight for clicks?
In insane shape.
Man, I wish Conor wasn't doing these types of...
Oh, and let's not overlook the puppet master behind this circus, Indian billionaire Anand Ambani. He's footing the bill as part of a tourism campaign to promote India, because when you think Visit India, your mind immediately goes to two rich guys swinging wildly at each other in a packed stadium, right? The fight is set for Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium, which holds 33,000 people. But the real audience will be the millions of suckers tuning in via pay-per-view. Then there's the pre-fight drama, which honestly feels like an extended episode of a bad reality TV show. Jake Paul has been calling out McGregor for years, throwing tantrums and trolling him online like a kid who didn't get his dessert. From over-the-top trash talk to cringe-worthy videos, Jake's done everything short of showing up at McGregor's doorstep with a megaphone. McGregor, instead of doing what the rest of us would do, ignoring him, bit the bait. And now, here we are, watching two grown men turn boxing into a sideshow act. This fight isn't about proving who's the better athlete or showing any respect for the sport. It's about Jake Paul finding yet another way to stroke his overinflated ego while cashing in on his endless thirst for attention. As for McGregor, he's probably just relieved he doesn't have to face the hungry UFC contender who might actually punch him into next week. Instead, he gets a payday for smacking around a YouTuber who thinks boxing gloves double as fashion accessories. Jake Paul says he's taking this fight seriously because of course he does. The guy can't even post an Instagram story without flexing how hard he's training, as if hitting a speed bag for 15 seconds somehow erases years of being a glorified internet clown. Apparently, he's been back in training since early January 2025, focusing on speed and agility. Sounds great on paper, right? But we're talking about Jake Paul here, the same guy who thinks his workout montages make him the second coming of Muhammad Ali. Sure, he's got BJ Flores in his corner, a legit boxing coach, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Having a decent trainer doesn't magically transform Jake into a skilled fighter. His real talent lies in conning people into thinking he's an actual athlete while carefully avoiding anyone who might actually be a challenge. Conor McGregor is the man trying to make a comeback that almost feels miraculous after snapping his leg like a cheap pencil back in 2021. Credit where it's due, McGregor knows how to grind. He spent years in rehab and is now trying to adapt his MMA skills to boxing rules. Admirable? Sure. But let's not forget that his last serious attempt at boxing was back in 2017, the one where Floyd Mayweather toyed with him for 10 rounds before calling it a night. McGregor's been out of the boxing game for years, and while his determination is commendable, you have to wonder if his body can keep up with his ambitions. The guy still has heart, but does he have the legs to back it up?
Think about Conor tweeting still at like 3 a.m. like coked out.
He sent shots at me and Ryan talking shit. It's crazy coming from Conor, who literally got out of the USADA pool to do legit steroids. And I was the biggest Conor fan for a long time. In the last couple weeks, ever since he sent that, I've been trying to hate him. I've been trying to be like, fuck you, Conor. I can't. I love Conor.
Physically, these two are an odd matchup. Jake Paul stands at 6'0" and weighs around 190 obs, giving him the size advantage, no question. But let's not pretend size equals skill. Jake's height and weight may have helped him against retired MMA fighters and washed-up celebrities, but not against someone like McGregor, who's actually fought legitimate killers in the UFC. McGregor at 5'9" and around 170 obs might be smaller, but he's used to fighting guys who actually know what they're doing. Jake's toughest competition so far, a nearly 60-year-old Mike Tyson, who probably spent more time thinking about his next cannabis product than throwing punches. Let that sink in. And then we get to the betting odds. Jake Paul is actually favored to win at -175, with McGregor as the underdog at +155. Yes, you heard that right. The YouTuber turned fighter is favored over Conor frickin' McGregor. If that doesn't make you question the entire state of boxing, I don't know what will. Sure, Jake's younger and has the size advantage, but let's not kid ourselves. His career has been built on carefully curated matchups against opponents who are either too old, too small, or too irrelevant to matter. Now, let's talk about the so-called experts. Paulie Malignaggi, who's never shy about sharing his hot takes, has gone on record saying Jake Paul might actually knock out McGregor. Yes, the same Jake Paul who used to make prank videos for a living is now being hyped as a potential knockout artist against one of MMA's most iconic fighters. If that doesn't make you cringe, nothing will. Meanwhile, Eddie Alvarez, a former UFC champ, has been quick to point out the logistical nightmare McGregor faces just to make this fight happen. UFC contracts are notoriously airtight, and Dana White isn't exactly known for letting his fighters chase clout with a YouTuber. The fans, they're as divided as ever. Jake's fanboys are hyping this up as the moment he finally proves he's legit, while McGregor's loyalists are just hoping to see Jake eat a well-deserved slice of humble pie. And then there's the rest of us, rolling our eyes at what is clearly a glorified cash grab. Let's not pretend otherwise. This fight isn't happening because it makes sense in any sporting context. It's happening because it's going to generate an obscene amount of money. Let's call this what it is: the ultimate show. Jake Paul gets to stroke his ego while pretending to be a real fighter. McGregor gets a fat paycheck without risking another leg-snapping incident in the UFC. And the rest of us get to sit back and watch boxing transform further into a reality TV show. Whether Jake wins or McGregor pulls off a comeback, the only real victory here is the money. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about sport, it's about who can sell the most drama. And boy, do these two know how to sell it.